he does this to me so I can't do what I do with everyone else, which is spend months preparing.
I didn't tell you I wouldn't come. I just never responded. Or I responded late.
Yeah, I just got the RSVP 10 minutes ago. Thanks, bud. So we don't have that much time, but it was very kind of you to decide to come by. I took a picture of his shoes in the hallway, and then I twit-picked it, and I asked if anyone knew who it was, and everyone thought it was Steve Ballmer. I swear to God. I mean, can you get a tight shot of the shoes, Johnny?
Well,
so, you know, those are just freaky. As I understand it, it's because you have a sprained ankle, and those are quite comfortable, and they're good for...
Yeah, I had these, and then I played Ultimate Frisbee the other day without wearing these, even though I had been wearing these, and I used cleats, and then I sprained my ankle. So now I'm back in these, and it's a lot easier on a sprained ankle.
Right on. Well, the shoe lore continues in the internet industry. So you backstage, when you were waiting for Austin to come off, you got to chat with Tim Armstrong, who's coming on next, and was, you know, the senator from Virginia, was kind to cede a little bit of his time to you. Do you miss him?
Oh yeah. No, it's really great to see Tim here. Yeah, I occasionally see him now and again, but yeah, we certainly missed him a lot. He's And I do think it's really good for AOL to have a leader like that.
Yeah. And so I have to ask you, yesterday was an interesting day with regards to Google, Twitter, Facebook, and Microsoft. How did that Twitter deal go down that we got that surprise announcement in the afternoon? Did you have anything to do with that?
Personally? I mean, I was certainly aware. I think just going back a step, it's very exciting for me to see an entrepreneur be successful twice. Obviously, Blogger was remarkable at the time, and I got a chance to work with Ev for a while, and to see him go out and succeed even more dramatically a second time, I think it's really sort of reaffirmed the kind of difference an entrepreneur can make, to me. So definitely was excited to see him be so successful. It's also, it is nice that a lot of these folk, well, obviously Evan himself, but also a lot of the people who work at Twitter and many of the companies here, you know, we are starting to have an alumni community, and that definitely makes it easier to form partnerships, but also have a really good relationship of trust between the companies.
Did you try to buy Twitter?
I did not try to buy Twitter.
I felt I had to ask.
But I mean, we definitely, if companies approach us, we definitely consider any opportunities that come by.
Well, I'm sure there's still a price. Let me ask you, I had Sheryl Sandberg here yesterday, another alumni, and we had a conversation about Facebook and where it's going. And you've done some things around Google profiles that have been interesting and social in nature, and then social search announced by Marissa yesterday. We talked about this idea of how the economy of attention is shifting a bit, and how the referral economy, which was so dominated by Google, is starting to see larger increases by Facebook and Twitter. What's Google's response to that, and how is the response to embrace and extend, so to speak, or is it to build out Google profiles, or what's your view of that?
Well, I would dispute, first of all, the notion that Google somehow dominated the referral, what did you call it?
The economy of
attention. The economy of attention. No, I mean, Google, since its inception, our philosophy has been that people come onto Google, they do a search, and we send them to many, many millions, or perhaps now billions of other websites. And I think that's been true. The web has definitely grown, and I don't think I don't think that people spend all of their attention in the search box. You know,
but that's the point of attention where you can make the most money, isn't that? I mean, well, let's put it this way: you can make a lot of money there.
When we started Google, it was the least amount of money you can make. The search inventory was the bottom of the barrel. You know, the CPMs were the absolute. That's sort of the equivalent of remnant today. And we made a bet. We said, you know, this is an important area. It's also commercially valuable, and we set out to develop AdWords. And it took us a number of years to develop what now is a very lucrative revenue stream because of that inventory. But you can't predict today. You can't just say that somehow, yeah, we were successful, but there will be other areas of success and other areas that maybe today are valued very lowly, but tomorrow might be much more valuable.
You're making a push into what might be called premium display or exchange-driven display with DoubleClick Exchange. Is this an area where you see that kind of an opportunity?
I think, I don't want to go out there and tell you that, tomorrow this thing that's worth $5 CPM is going to be 100. I mean, I can't forecast that sort of thing. But I think at a high level, I believe the internet as an advertising platform is very efficient and is disproportionately efficient compared to sort of traditional media that people have been used to in years past, in terms of actually getting a person to be able to see an advertisement and then transact on it and so forth. And I think if you look, the internet rates I think are going to go up, and I can't predict exactly which segment is going to do better than the others within the internet, but it is a rising tide.
Google has been criticized. I guess I could stop there, but
that is definitely, I cannot dispute that Google has been criticized.
But it's been criticized for trying to do too many things. You're boiling a lot of pretty big oceans, mobile being one, and the advertising ecosystem being another. Search is a very big, business in and of itself. Can you succeed in every one of these, or is your strategy to, bat 350, or what's your thought on that?
I'm not familiar with baseball scoring, but
that's very good.
Okay.
350 is good.
Is that like 35%?
300. Well, yes.
Out of what?
Yes.
Out of 1,000?
Yeah. Well, 350 out of 1,000. Yes.
I hope we fare better than that, but primarily we've entered areas where we run into a problem, either sort of individually as individual users. For example, Gmail. When we started the company, it was just really painful to deal with email. We had some of the traditional client solutions, but those didn't deal well with, when you might change computers or whatnot, and actually they were slow to search and not very scalable. And the web-based offerings back then were, to be candid, kind of toys. So we pursued that. If you look at Android, I mean, we tried to develop mobile applications on the platforms that were available at the time, and they were all kind of closed, proprietary, different. They didn't have capable browsers, so we set about to do that.
Are you going to bring out a Google hardware device for Android, do you think?
Well, I'll leave those questions to Andy Rubin because he's kind of in charge of that whole area. But I should note we have been to date pretty involved. For example, the G1, we worked very closely with HTC on the design. Now there are dozens of Android model phones, and there are varying levels of interaction we've had. But we definitely want to work closely with at least a few at any given time, because you can't create software completely divorced from how the hardware is evolving.
Right. I want to let you guys ask a couple questions. So there are mics here. We don't have that much time, but if anyone has a question for Sergey, please come up. Can I ask what you make of Bing? Do you like it?
I think.
You a Bing user?
Oh yeah. No. I use all search engines out there. I think that what Bing has reminded us is that the search is a very competitive market. I think that there are many interesting companies out there. Bing is one. They had acquired PowerSet, this other search company. There's Cool. There's probably a few dozen startups doing interesting things. And even, I would say, prior to Bing's launch as Bing, I mean, MSNs or Live.com had a lot of interesting features there too, and a lot of those carried over to Bing. I think people just didn't check them that often, so they didn't see those. But I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. I do think it's a shame that Yahoo plans to abdicate that area, because I think they were doing interesting work too.
Well, they would argue they're not, but then again, Carol has the flu, so she can't speak for
Sorry,
herself.
I don't want to put words in their mouth. Sorry, that was my impression reading the announcements,
Yeah.
but I'm certainly not the best versed to tell you about that.
Do you have a point of view on whether or not that deal should go through between Microsoft and Yahoo? It's not yet complete or approved.
Anyway, look, I don't think it's I should be the one to offer a judgment there, but I'm just saying I do think that Yahoo had a number of interesting innovations there, and I wish they would continue to innovate in search.
A question here?
Yeah. Hi, Sergey. One of the questions John had asked us in preparation for this was what keeps people up at night? And I'm particularly curious to know, in your case, as a business leader of a leading company in the field, what keeps you up at night?
Okay, well, to answer...
You're a kid, don't you?
Yeah, that's true. But I'll turn your question around and answer a different one anyway. There are things that keep me...
Man, you should go to Washington, sir.
There are things that keep me excited at night, and primarily hardware. It's just incredible. I started working with computers in Sensley from graduate school on. It's been almost 20 years now. And Moore's Law has been with me ever since. But seeing it continue to this point is incredible. The kinds of things that you can walk into Fry's and buy a processor now with really 8 cores essentially for, I don't know, a few $100s, 2 terabyte hard drive, the little dinky micro SD cards that you can barely see that are 16 gigabytes now and I think going to 32, or the incredible capacity that fiber optics carry now. I mean, to see that continue is astounding to me, and much of the work that Google does is to see, what can we do with this incredible, newly powerful technology that we couldn't do before. And I think you see that in some of our products, be it the amount of email we're able to handle for free, or Google Book Search in terms of sort of the scanning technology, storage, and so forth. It's really quite astounding.
What do you make of the recent, chorus of complaints out of the some parts of the media industry about Google not paying their fair share, which Curley at the AP and Rupert Murdoch have recently said that they feel that the search engines have taken their brand and disassociated it from the content?
Well, I think that they are conflating Google with change in the sense that I do think the world is evolving. People sort of consume their information in new and different ways, and the business models around that are changing. And certainly Google has done well with newer internet types of business models, but I think they're sort of making a leap that Google is either causing that or that Google is somehow stealing that from them. So I don't agree with the conclusion, but I certainly hear the pain, and I think it is important to have institutions like certainly the world's leading newspapers, publishers, and so forth. I think it's important for those institutions to continue to be sustainable.
I know we're running out of time. Do we have one more question?
Hi, yeah, Sergey, Sean from Synaptic. Just curious, where's Chrome for Mac?
Okay, I am using Chrome for Mac, just to let you know. And any of you can. You have to go to this page where it says that you shouldn't use Chrome for Mac, and then you can. It warns you against it. And it's, to be fair, it's not quite as stable yet as I'd like it to be, and it's been the timing of that has been one of the disappointments of the Chrome project for me. I've been very pleased with Chrome in general. But I would have been much happier if we had had a beta out now and actually, well, I would have been happier if we had launched them simultaneously, but certainly this delay is something that many of us suffer through. But anyway, you are welcome to try it. It does get better every day, and I actually tend to use it a lot. But if it crashes or is somewhat unreliable, please forgive that it's not even beta stage. It's like whatever it's the developer channel.
We have one more question over here.
Michael Jensen, National Academies Press. You've taken a tremendous amount of heat with the Google Book Search and with that sort of thing. Most of what I see is pretty exciting. Can you give me a 2 years out, 3 years out vision of what Google Editions is going to be? Yeah,
no, thank you for asking that. And I've been surprised by that. I mean, we get criticized kind of for anything, but I've been surprised at the level of controversy there. Because digitizing the world's books and making them available, there's nobody else who's attempted it at our scale or who is really working on it. So, and I feel like we had a number of technical challenges which we've overcome. There was this legal dispute which we have a settlement's proposed, at least that we jointly agreed to with the authors and publishers and so forth. But anyway, it remains somewhat controversial. Ultimately, these books have great content in them, great information, even if they're 50 years old or so. It's incredible to me when I search through them and peruse them how relevant they are to today. But we need a way to be able to allow people to access them and to pay the pay the authors and publishers, for that matter, for those books. So yeah, I'm surprised at the amount of resistance that's had, but ultimately I'm optimistic that we're going to be successful, and I'm optimistic that we're going to be able to provide people access to tens of millions of books that otherwise would be lost.
I would love to keep going, but we're running out of time, and Sergey said he would only give us 10, and he's already given us 20.
So I don't want to invade Tim Armstrong's time. So please, it's my fault when Tim's going to run beyond your next hour, but I definitely didn't want to interfere with him.
Well, thank you for coming and joining all of us here at Web 2.
Thank you.